and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I am Brent Hazard of the Brent and Malcolm Show. Malcolm is out campaigning again. Please keep in mind that my good friend is running for county district supervisor of District 5 on August 8th. Let's all get behind Malcolm and make a change. But I am Brent Hazard and going to the bullpen. Actually, let me tell you what a great guy Mr. Bill is, okay? Mr. Bill comes, and sometimes I have guests that he doesn't know about, and he just sits over there and watches, and we go eat. But it's Wilford Bill. How are you doing today, Mr. Bill?
Well, sir.
Now,
good to be here.
I'm very nice to Mr. Bill because he's an idiot, and I'll tell you why. Mr. Bill, how many times have you been on this show?
I don't remember.
Over 10?
Yeah, over 10.
About 15?
That's good.
And at dinner one night, because Mr. Bill and I will go enjoy a good meal and a non-alcoholic beverage, you told me you work for Nelson Mandela. Is that correct or not?
I didn't work directly for him. I worked with him for a program that he put in place.
And where is this?
It was in South Africa, and I was assigned to the Technikon University of Port Elizabeth, South Africa.
And what year was this?
1996.
And you and I have been knowing each other for 15 years, and your dumb ass decides not to bring that up. You talking about bus lines and trains and transportation, but you didn't talk about the time I went to go work to help Mandela free South Africa.
I didn't think that was a point of interest for anyone.
You're an idiot. So what was it like? Let me go ahead and help you out here, okay? Any superstars, any icons, anything like that? Let's talk about that besides we talk about the bus routes.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Okay.
So how was working under the Mandela administration?
Okay.
No. Okay, just for background for me and the audience. How long had Mandela been in power? For those who do not know, Mandela was trying to raise the liberation of the African American, and I mean they weren't slaves, but they were secondary citizens in the apartheid. Mm-hmm. And he was jailed several times.
17 years.
17 years was the longest run.
Yeah, on Robben Island.
But he was the de facto president of the movement, or the leader of the movement, correct?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So they had the revolution. Mm-hmm. Approximately what year, to your knowledge?
95, 96, because he came over to this country in 96 when he was free. Then he ran and became president. Okay,
and what year did you, so 95, 96 is my recollection.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mid-90s. What year did you go down there?
I went there in the spring of 96.
Okay, so you were in the middle of it.
Just about, right.
Okay, so, and there was a song, this might be the first time I learned of South Africa. I'm not going to play Sun City.
Sun City.
Because Johannesburg, the capital of South Africa, was nicknamed Sun City. Is that correct? Or am I making that up? Or
they do have a Sun City in South Africa.
Okay, maybe that was it. But there was a group, famous celebrity singers or singers, music. I'm not going to play Sun City. Okay. Talking about I'm boycotting South Africa, and the white South Africans were 10%. They were controlling the African American population, or African American.
Same as America.
Yeah, the black people. The white people were controlling the black people.
Same as America.
Okay, but supposedly one of the problems with the liberation is you have people who've never governed before, people who've never really been unified before. I mean, they've never actually been in power, so they had to learn how to organize. And then while there was a segregation, some of the complaints or observations, because it was a gorgeous city, because the haves had really oppressed the have-nots. Mm-hmm. Everything was shifting, and there was no real plan, because like I said, there was this lack of government experience. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? Incorrect?
That is correct.
Okay.
Because they spent their time fighting apartheid, and once they got the freedom, Mandela started appointing those leaders into running those capes.
Okay.
And,
now, what's a cape?
Cape is like a county.
County?
Or a city.
Okay.
Right.
Now, what was your job?
I was a part of the executive leadership team where we went over to teach management perspective and being a public administrator. And I was assigned to the Technical University in Port Elizabeth. Port Elizabeth off the Indian Ocean, which is down from Durban across that Indian Ocean.
Okay.
Okay, and what we were doing.
How long were you there?
Oh, I was there right at 6 weeks.
Okay.
That was
a month and a half.
That was terminal course.
What language do they speak?
They spoke English.
Okay.
And they spoke their tribal languages.
Okay.
Because I went to church, because I'm United Methodist. I went to a Methodist church in South Africa, and the pastor had to change over from his tribal language of his sermon to English to get me brought into what.
He did that just for you or just for everyone?
I was the only one there.
Okay.
He did it just for me, which is good. Yeah.
So good experience, bad experience?
It was a good experience. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about Africans.
What did you learn?
I learned that Africans in Africa have most of them are talented and have a great ability of survival. And
what kind of mentality?
They are talented, and have a great ability of survival no matter what the circumstances are.
Okay.
Which tells me how we were able to survive slavery. Another thing I learned about Africans, and we were taught this in our staff meeting by a Belgian instructor, most Africans have a natural ability to pick up your language, not having been taught, just by you speaking around them.
Okay.
Most Africans, on average, speak 8 languages. And you can talk to any kid that's just starting out, they speak probably 4 languages. But they will pick up your language. And the thing about it, we all look alike when we go over there, when they come over here, until we start talking.
Now, I'm going to dispute that because I was watching something with Neil deGrasse Tyson, familiar? The astrophysicist, astronomer, the guy, the guy always talking about space. Okay, he said that one of the miscalculations of science was that there's more diversity genetically between Africans, between people in Egypt, people in South Africa, people in Kenya, people in the Congo, the jungle area, than there is between whites and blacks. But being the fact that we specified on where we're from, that we went race and geographical origin. But one of the major issues is that you and I have more in common genetically than and one of his examples, one of the shortest people in the world are the pygmies. But with some of the tallest people in the world are Ethiopian. I think I got that right. And in the Congo is a big jungle. In Kenya, they're at the highest elevation rates in the world. Did you see that, or did you have a chance to see that, or do you disagree with that, or
no, I don't disagree, because Africans themselves tell what manner of African they come in contact with by the lingo and how they perform. Disseminate their verbiage of their languages, and that's a part of that different diversity.
Oh, and then having to absorb it and understand it. No, and look, people forget about this when we talk about. I hear people talk about we're the greatest country of all time. Right now, we're closer to the end of the Egyptian Empire than the end of the Egyptian Empire is to the beginning. You let that sink in. Now, were they traveling across the globe? No. Did they have airplanes? No. But the Egyptian Empire, we're closer to the end than the end is to the beginning. We are not, we might be a superpower. We're not a great civilization just because we don't have the time in. 400 years is, nothing compared to China, Japan, Egypt, Mesopotamia. So, get us to 1,000, we'll see where we are.
Yeah.
Now, you also spent some time in China.
Yes, I did.
What were you doing in China?
In China, I went over there for two purposes. We was analyzing because Bill Clinton was in the process of giving some of the cities nuclear energy because they had a pollution problem with the coal burning in the American plants that they had over there.
Okay.
Okay, so I gave a presentation and analyzed different practices, and I was over there about a month.
How did you get that job?
United States International Development, and being I was classified as a scientist in transportation by the Transportation Research Board of the National Research Council, and I was just called in as being one of the noteworthy after, I guess, they observed some of my accomplishments. I don't know. All I know is I got the call. And
well, I mean, your resume is impressive till you speak, and then you say stuff like lingo, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm asking you. So what part of China?
Oh, boy. I went to Shanghai twice.
How was that?
That was good. Shanghai is the largest city.
Now, okay, you as an African American, I knew some Jackson State volleyball players, female volleyball players who would go there, and they said it was literally like being a cross between a rock star and an alien, because one, they were much taller than the Chinese population. These girls average about 5'10", and then two, they just didn't have a lot of dark complected people walking around. So how were you viewed, or did people stop you? Did they touch you, or did they not pay any attention?
No, for the most part, Shanghai was busy. The people didn't pay much attention. They paid more attention when I went to Xi'an. Xi'an was one of the most polluted cities in China. Okay. About 3 million people. I mean, a haze all day and night, because they had more plants over there. They even had a Volvo plant.
Well, what people don't understand is they complain about big government, but like one of the things that people always talk about reducing is the EPA. The reason we don't have these big smog, air pollution, or as much as air pollution as, say, in India, China, Russia, because they don't have that, correct?
No.
Now, in Greenville, I never went to China, but Greenville had a cotton exchange, or an idea through Delta and Pine. Mm-hmm. And some people from Greenville would go to China to teach them how to grow cotton, or learn how they would grow cotton. Mm-hmm. And I said, how was it? And they said, dude, you do not understand how regulations are a good thing. An associate of mine went over there, and a guy was on scaffolding and fell 6 stories and died. He got back in the car, and they're like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And they're like, you just had a death on site. You're going to have to shut the site down. You have to do an investigation. They took the body, took it out to the road, dumped it in the road, sent somebody back up there, and no one stopped.
That's right.
And that's where you get into child labor. That's where you get into, no overtime. Mm-hmm. What did you learn from going over there?
Well,
these are where the words would be important to the show.
Yeah, well, I learned a lot. They are survivors. They're poor people. They don't have the amenities that we have. The people are abused and work half to death, and the farmers are out there. And the most common communication when you on the streets in China, the people walk up to you, say, how you do, how your family? They'll walk up to you and say, have you eaten today? And what if you say yes? If you say yes, then great. If you hadn't, if they have something, they'll share it with you.
Okay.
Because they have a lot of people that are not eating regularly.
Now, you were over there a month. Have you gone back?
I hadn't gone back since.
Did you get the sense of why they put, with 1 billion people coming from South Africa before or after China?
South Africa was before China.
Okay. Seeing what the South Africans overturned, because I read a number, 25 million South Africans and 2 million white people, or white.
Mm-hmm. That's about right.
China has 1 billion people. Close to 1 billion people for a while. Mm-hmm. Why do you believe they put up with such government? Were you able to ascertain that while you were there, or?
It's just embedded in the lifestyle of what's to be expected. And then China government is more like a dictatorship. That's why they used to tell me all the time, don't worry about these Chinese bothering you, because they end up being sent to a concentration camp in Mongolia. They'll come in and wipe you out in a minute.
Don't care. And I mean, what you're talking about now, they're literally taking the Muslims and sending them to a concentration camp. You being over there and you being African American, do you have any guilt using these cell phones with the understanding that these cameras, the cell phones, the mics, the stereotype, or the allegation is that most of our electronics are coming from those parts of the world because the labor laws, they're modern day slavery to a point where every now and then there'll be a note, please help me, blah, blah, because like you said, they're not given a choice. You're not asked if you want to be a doctor, scientist, lawyer. They either test you or you don't test well enough and you're at the factory, and you're at the factory till they say go home. Should Americans with their technology participating in 21st century slavery?
Okay. Yes and no. If America had,
well, that's a great answer.
If America had not sought out the labor from China, they still would have been doing the same thing.
So we should be able to profit from.
That's what we did. We profit.
Well, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, should
profit without a conscience is what you're saying.
Is 50 years from now, will we look back on what we're participating with China, whether it's Nike shoes or tennis shoes or electronics, and will history judge us as we judge the 50s and 60s in Mississippi?
I cannot say for sure, but I will say this.
Because you're not going to be here.
I won't be here. But what
don't plan on being here either.
Our generations and our priorities in this country changes so fast. Things that take place are soon forgotten. Only thing we talk about the history of how we evolve with the races. That comes back. But the things that take place in the world, they're soon forgotten. That's just like we were talking about Johnson earlier.
Okay, hang on before we go off on this. We're going to take a commercial break. We were talking about who killed Kennedy. And whether LBJ was an evil man or not. We're not going to get into that. We're going to get into some current topics right after this break. It's the Brent Malcolm Show.
Yeah.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, Keepers of the Knowledge for People Who Speak the Truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Welcome back to the Brent Malcolm Show. Now, let me go ahead, since I want to get those two stories out and give you some credibility there, since you didn't think those were important.
No.
But I do want to get into a couple of things. One, I want everybody to understand this, and I don't know where, I don't want to say manners is disappearing in our society. I don't know if it's order. I was eating with someone recently, and we were down in New Orleans, and someone was going to cook us a true Cajun meal. And this person did not want to partake in a true Cajun meal. and got two stories about eating. In third grade, my mom and I went somewhere, and maybe the rest of my family was there, but I just know my mom and I were there, and the woman served succotash. And I remember thinking to myself, if you don't know what succotash is, because I didn't, I just thought it was something Daffy Duck said. But it's basically you go get every vegetable you can in a can, and you put it in a pot, and then you cook it like a soup, and you put it on there. But it had carrots, which I'm not a big fan of baked carrot. As you get older, as you know, you start eating things for health reasons, not so much for taste, but we'll get into that. Mm-hmm. But, there was corn, which I wasn't a big fan of as a kid. Corn on the cob, yes, but not cooked corn. There was lima beans, tomatoes, green beans, onions. It was literally like everybody went in there and just pulled every can and dumped it in there. Mm-hmm. And the woman put it on my plate, and I said, what the hell is it? I did not say hell, because my mom would have slapped the hell out of me. I was like, what is this? And I was a picky eater as a child, so I was sitting there poking at it, and I think I tried it, and I was like, nope. So we get in the car, and my mom looked at me and said, if you ever embarrass me like that again, I will end you. I'm paraphrasing. But she basically said, do not embarrass me like that again. Yeah. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, when someone invites you to their house and shares their food with you, and she did say this, I don't give a damn if they served shit on a shingle. You clean your plate. You don't have to get seconds, but you do not disrespect someone who's offering to share their food with you. And ever since then, if someone offered, now the food we had was very good. Me personally, they were going more with turkey necks and going more with, they were going way Cajun style, where I would like to see more sea bass, redfish, some catfish, but the cooking was excellent. I was cutting elk with a butter knife. But, I don't want to see what you can do with a turkey neck. Grits, shrimp and grits, I don't need that. Lobster and fried chicken, I don't need that. Let's stick to the basics and just see what you can do with some redfish, some catfish. Yeah. I know that, some venison. I would like to see what you can do with some venison, but we don't need to get I'm not a big fan of gator. It's like that's not the same thing with snake. You're like, that's interesting, but it's not a good meat to me. But the second story is this. I was at my grandmother's house eating one of her dinners, and some neighbors came over. Now, Mimi knew how to cook. So I'm sitting there with my dad, and, my grandmother would have a couple of quiches, which I don't give a damn about. But, she had the mashed potatoes, she had the mac and cheese, she had the turkey, and your boy was just double dipping. And my dad would put that Vulcan grip on me. What the hell are you doing? It's like, I'm eating. He's like, you take one serving to make sure everybody else has a serving.
Yep. Etiquette.
And then you can come back if there's extra.
Right.
And I'm sitting there, and I had a spoon of mashed potatoes. I already had one on my plate, but he said, put it back.
Yeah.
So I put that mashed potatoes back. I sat down. I cleaned my plate. About 2 minutes, I sat there. My grandmother, Mimi, Brent, you not hungry? I was just staring at my dad, looking back at her, staring at my dad. I was like, Mimi, I just want to make sure everybody had enough to eat before I got seconds. Right. Well, you can always get seconds. So I looked at my dad. He nodded his head. Bam! Loaded that plate up. But I am shocked at how many people don't know these stories or don't teach. I have to tell people, I understand we all want to talk now. I understand, it's hard. Do we listen or do we wait to talk? But I have to tell grown folks, now there's certain things where if I'm eating and just took a bite and you come by and you're waiting on me, is everything fine? I'll take my napkin and I'll say, I'm good. Do not talk with your mouth open, for God's sakes, if you're eating. I don't want to see what you're... I had to tell a 40-year-old lawyer, dude, shut your damn mouth, dude. This isn't like, oh, hang on, it's hot. We all get into that.
Right.
Just constantly. Are manners disappearing? Are we taking efforts to understand? Look, don't put the elbows on the table.
Nope.
Fork goes on the left. Forklaft.
Right.
Napkin goes in the lap. And let me go ahead and say, to get this off my chest, you dumbass asked for Heinz 57 at a steakhouse. You and I are going to fight because you're insulting the chef, but more importantly, you're guaranteeing we get the shit food. Okay? You insult the chef at a steakhouse?
Yeah.
They're going to be like, get the stuff off the floor, or I want it well done. Leave, okay?
Yeah.
They're going to burn your food, and they're going to be upset with you because you're wasting their time and insulting their profession. Because these people have studied medium rare, and used their own natural sauces. I was with a moron, hey, you got any Heinz 57? I almost punched him. Because like I said, that's it. That's it. If we're going to, and let me say this. I'm not a fancy eater because one, I'm hypoglycemic. So if I eat the wrong orange or I eat some watermelon, and I love me some watermelon, I got a migraine, I'm vomiting. So any sauce I don't know, or, if I have to say what is in there, I usually stay away from. I can't eat crawfish anymore. I'm allergic to that. As you get older, God punishes you. But understand it. Some of the best advice I was ever got, if you're ever confused on how to act, find the most distinguished person in the room, usually a 90-year-old woman, and copy her.
Right, watch it.
But don't sit there thinking you're the most important damn person on the planet. You're not the most important person in that room. But more importantly, don't disrespect someone because of ignorance. And I'm just sitting there. These are the greatest assets. My family had a lot of money growing up. It's gone now. Because I wouldn't be here on this show. Cousin, let's be real. I was going to go to the Bahamas, so that dumbass kid jumped off that boat and got it. Did you see that?
I didn't see it, though.
Some 18-year-old at a graduation jumped off a boat, was swimming, and like a bull shark took his ass. And then look, my apologies for any 18-year-old, but you don't jump off. I didn't know the Bahamas was shark infested. Puerto Rico's not, Bahamas is. But with all that said, there's rules to the game. It's like, hey man, can we jump off here? Nope. Shark infested. Okay. That's probably why the sign says don't swim.
Don't swim.
There's rules to the game. You don't go around where alligators are and walk around barefooted. It's not a good move. You don't go, these morons who are going up to Montana taking these pictures with these wild buffalo. Yeah. Things don't end well.
Yeah.
Why are we being are we being lazy? Are we being more self-absorbed? What I do believe it comes to parents who want to be friends, and I believe we don't understand traditions, and we don't understand how some of this is just important. Or am I miscalculating, or am I speaking as a white supremacist?
Our society is a master at petting, turning wild animals into pets. And we just assume that when we walk in there, if they're quiet or if they're not violent, we can pet them.
Oh, okay. I was talking about more the manners. I was like, where the hell are you going?
Okay.
No. Disney's done that. Disney has I forgot the word I'm looking for, but they've given human emotions to wild animals.
To wild animals, right.
Do you eat meat?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you have any religious and or moral dietary restrictions?
The only one is before you eat, you say grace.
Okay, but what I'm saying is
that's the only one I have.
I understand why some people don't want to eat meat, and I'm fine with that. I'm not one of those people. And I'm okay with shooting something to eat it. I'm okay if they raise it to eat. Now, I would like some quality, and I would like, I think the more you abuse the animal, the worse the product is for us. But I understand fishing. I eat fish. I understand I'm going to eat a hamburger at some point. I understand where all those animals come from, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. Where is okay, back to the original question. What's the downfall of our manners? Why are we not having manners in our society?
Well, we have a society bringing generations in that's saying my kids don't have to go through these same channels that was too hard for me, and I'm giving them more liberty. And giving them those liberties gets away from manners. They are now becoming more ill-mannered, and they're not understanding etiquette and appreciation and respect for each other as we assemble and feast together.
Were you slapped as a child?
Slap?
Slap. Did your parents slap you?
I don't know, because my mother knocked me down.
I was slapped. My mom slapped. My dad never slapped me. My mom slapped me twice. Now, one time it was 8 times because I tried her. I wouldn't move, and she broke glasses. And the other time, it was over me breaking up with a certain woman. And I said something I shouldn't have said.
Oh boy, you didn't respect a woman, regardless of whether you like her or not.
No. My mom was like, "You need to get away from her. She's no good." Da 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 da.
Oh, that was good.
You're dating a bitch that manipulates her dad.
That's good.
And before, because it was a heated 40-minute conversation, I said, "So I'm dating my mom." And as soon as I said it, I was like, "Shouldn't have said that."
No.
And she slapped the hell out of me. Glasses went full. I didn't have glasses at that time, but and she turned the corner. I said, "I guess I shouldn't have said that. I guess I deserved that one." And my mom was like, "You sure as hell did."
You do.
I did.
Yeah.
But my point is, some people look at that as abuse. I looked at that as tough love. Mm-hmm. Where are you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough love. And just like you were talking about your father used to train mules, and he used
my grandfather trained mules in the army and used a 2x4.
Got attention. That gets your attention. Because some people ignore it and just pass it by.
Okay, here's my question to you, tying into Jackson. With the destruction of the family unit, period, right? The family unit is not functioning anymore, and some of that's just because of technology. I mean, back in the 1880s, back when you were born,
1700.
If you moved to the West, there was a chance you weren't going to have neighbors. Mm-hmm. There was a chance. I mean, you had children to survive, to have workers, and to have protection. Mm-hmm. Now we can swipe an app and find a date within 250 miles. Those options were not available before smartphones and technology.
That's right.
Also, so with the destruction or deconstruction of the church, because you used to go to church to catch up on gossip and find out what's going on. That was the meeting place. You don't need that anymore. Now, I'm not saying don't go to church, but what I'm saying, it's not the social hub anymore.
Right, it's online now.
What do we do as a society to instruct or to, if someone's coming from a quote-unquote non-traditional family or not having a traditional family or any type of family unit, how do you think we should, as a government or as a society, instruct some of these lessons that were taught by these institutions, where we're talking about church, school, or family?
Yeah, that becomes in the relationship that we gander as friendship, BFF, as we so call it. We come from a good family here. I like this person, but they don't know these things. Then that exchange takes place. And those who go to college and have different roommates, and they get a chance to understand each other's cultures and share the benefits, and that's a way of learning.
Well, see, the problem I have with that, though, and it's, I'm not a big fan of Hillary Clinton for several reasons. One of them, she got my family investigated for Whitewater. Thank you, Hillary. Two, I just don't think she was ever likable enough to be elected. And I think she cost Biden his term. I think we should have been on. I think Biden should have came after Obama, but there was a deal between the Clintons. So I'm not a big fan. However, her taking that phrase, "it takes a village," it didn't take a village to raise me. It took 4 people: mom, dad, grandmother, grandfather. Because why? I had a lot of nice neighbors, and I had a lot of good teachers. I wasn't carrying their last name. They weren't going to put that in. Everybody says that. Call me if you need anything. Mm-hmm. Man, you have to go pay for someone's cancer treatment. Someone has a medical emergency in your family. You're going to find out. Oh, okay. hey, you can at least bring a plan of some food over. So, I mean, people like to say we're family. Family shows up, family's there, and that's what I'm saying. I don't believe until we have this conversation about having an institution that succeeds where falling institutions are, and have a conversation about, I'm going to raise you as I was raised, but that's not just going to be subsidizing. That's not just going to be providing. That's going to be some discipline involved. And that's not a bad thing. I don't see how we get anywhere except where we are with mouth open, chewing, table, elbows on the table. Let me go ahead and say this. If you want them SOBs that never go for a check, just stay at home. We all know, now if you're 20 people in, that's fine. But if you know you're eating with someone and you're doing better than they are, treat them like, if you're 50, 60 years old and there's a college kid, treat them like you want to be treated when you were that age. Pick up a meal every now and then, or, get out there and I get so angry at people. Let me ask you this. You've traveled a lot more than I have. What is your go-to hotel?
Boy, I stayed in all of them.
But what do you look for? When let's say you and I are going to Houston tomorrow. What hotel are you looking for in Houston? Have you ever been?
I would say a Hyatt or Marriott.
See, that's where I am. I don't need 5-star because you get to the Four Seasons and stuff like that. Like, I was down in New Orleans for 4 days, and you start looking. I mean, the Ritz and the Four Seasons can go $500 a night, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm getting for $500 a night, and they're fine hotels, but I'm not gonna be in there that long.
Not gonna be in there that long.
And I don't want to go Holiday Inn. No. I don't. For New Orleans, to me, the sweet spot's around the 220, depending on which weekend. I don't like to hit 300 if I can, But sometimes if you're going to like Super Bowl week, you're
gonna have to.
Oh yeah. But I want to be nice, but I don't want to be fancy. And I want to be able to throw something on the ground and someone come in there and pick, have a towel, pick it up. Have you done Airbnbs?
I hadn't done Airbnbs yet. No. I'm
not comfortable doing Airbnbs. That just seems like a foreign, and I know it's generational. I don't want to stay in someone's house I don't know.
True.
That's just, because one, I feel uncomfortable messing up that house. Now, it's not like I'm a complete slob in a hotel room, but I know there's a staff there. I know. And by the way, do you tip your maid or your house cleaner at the hotel?
I do.
Not every night.
No.
On the way out.
On the way when checking out.
Now, if you're going to be there for a long time, if you're going to stay somewhere 5 days, 6 days, you find that maid, give her a little $10. Say I'm in 608.
Yeah.
That's the best investment you can make.
Right. You end up with extra, a nice coat.
Extra towels.
Yeah, house coat.
You get all the extras for $10. Yeah. So many people don't know this.
Yeah.
But anyway, things would just irritate the hell out of me. We're going to come back and talk about Trump right after this break.
Yeah. Good.
Do you have something to say? Do you want your voice heard? Join the We Believe Global lineup. Be the star of your own show. For more info, call 800-492-5186, option number 1, or visit online at webelieve.global.
SocratesGarrettENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. SocratesGarrettENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.Dot grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. By using SocratesGarrettENT.com's crushed concrete products, anyone from homeowners to general contractors can help reduce landfilled concrete waste, conserve natural resources, and gain significant economic savings on materials and disposal costs. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
advertise on WeBelieve.global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
The Mississippi Link is an African American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippilink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Welcome back to the Brent Malcolm Show. Once again, please keep my friend Malcolm Johnson in your thoughts and prayers during the campaign. Well, just go vote for him. I don't care if you think about him or pray for him. Mm-hmm. I just want you to vote for him on August 8th. Now, you saw where the president was indicted, right? Mm-hmm. I want your opinion on whether President Trump should have been indicted. Talking about for the classified documents.
Okay. I will say this. Because
it's so painful to do a show with you. You realize that?
Yes.
Okay. Give me a good answer here.
Yes.
Don't give me one of these.
He should have been indicted, but he's not a Lone Ranger. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay. Do you think it's political?
It is political because what Trump does, when you cite him, he go back and say, we've been doing this all along, and all of a sudden you got Biden, Pence. So he's not a Lone Ranger.
The problem is the other two gentlemen have turned the documents back over. People take things home. Have you ever dealt with confidential information in your transportation of bus routes and things?
Yeah, we do. We deal with that.
Probably bids.
Yeah, we do.
Or projects.
Bids, right.
You're going to have to buy a
right, and they tell you to keep it secret. Right.
And what happens is you're studying something's due, you have a deadline, you take files home. Mm-hmm. Someone pointed to me one time, hey dude, you can't keep files in the backseat of your car open like that. People can see. And you're like, wow, mm-hmm. I didn't know it fell open. I didn't know. Mm-hmm. So it happens.
It happens. People do it.
Yes, but when you find out, you're supposed to return them. Mm-hmm. Would you have indicted him if you were a prosecutor?
Yes, I would have indicted him because he has the control and authority of a dictator. And if it's all right, if he does it, no matter what takes place, I am the law. I am in charge. He has that political motivation and authoritative perspective.
Now, let's go back and score Mr. Beal. Yes, it was political because of what you said. 2, no, you should not have indicted him for a couple of reasons. 1, you're never going to convict him. And by indicting him, what you do is you give him exactly what he wants. He's a fighter. He enjoys combat. He enjoys confrontation. His poll numbers went up. They did not go down. This is how you should have handled it. And I mean, this is advanced, okay? Mm-hmm. This isn't simple stuff here. Mm-hmm. You sue him civilly, requesting the court order the return of the documents. 1, I need you to come in, Mr. Beal, and tell me what you have. 2, I need you to confess that you do not have the access or privilege of having them, i.e., I need you to admit that you're not president of the United States anymore. 3, I need you to return said documents. Now, why would I do that? I get that order. 1, Trump's not going to participate in that. I'm in federal court in front of a judge. I've eliminated a jury, and I don't believe you can get 12 people to decide on this political issue in a unanimous ruling. I do believe one person is going to say this is a political shakedown. And I mean, there's no way if he says I'm not running again, I don't think they do any return to documents. But I'm laying out as an ex-prosecutor, I am setting a trap for him so he can say I'm not showing up. Okay, Judge, I want a continuance. You don't go for the throat right away.
I hear you.
You give him a continuance, give him a second chance, Your Honor. In 60 days, we're going to come back here where he has to testify what documents he has, whether he has the ability to still have those documents, and will he return the documents. The second time he doesn't show up or does not cooperate, I get another continuance. Judge, I understand, busy man. Second continuance for Mr. Trump. The third time, it's always the number 3. Judge, at this point, as the United States Attorney General, we would move for an order of, we would ask the court for a contempt charge, or we move for show cause, and he has to now show cause while he's ignoring your order, Judge. You appointed for life. Now, maybe he's a Trump appointee, maybe he's a Bush appointee, maybe he's a Clinton appointee, a Barack Obama appointee, but now he's ignoring you. Now, I want him to come in here and say why he doesn't have to answer to you. Eliminated the jury. Now he's facing up to 6 months in jail. I don't know about federal contempt, but in the state of Mississippi, you could get up to 6 months per violation of contempt. I would then argue, Judge, each document, we suspect he has 13,000 documents, and each document that he does not return, we're going to want a separate violation of the contempt, or a contempt charge for violating the order. So if there's 13,000 different documents, or if there's 10, we would want 6 months for each document he does not return. Now, I've eliminated a jury. Now, in Mississippi, you can technically request a jury on contempt charges, but most people do not know that, or most people don't apply that. But then, or, Judge, I want him incarcerated until there's criminal contempt, where I'm sentencing you to 6 months per charge of contempt, and there's civil contempt, and this is where they used to get the writers. The last one I remember was the guy who knew whether Barry Bonds had information about steroids. It's called civil contempt because you hold the key to your jail. Now, back in the day, they would ask reporters, who's your source? I'm not telling you. They would lock them up till they would tell them, and they would never tell them. Mr. Trump, you will be incarcerated until you confess or until you admit or agree to return those documents. The moment you admit that you return those documents, you will be free. I love that 10 times better than that indictment. Because like I said, this way he's going to insult the judge. There ain't no jury. Now, and like I said, I would tell everybody, we're going to give this fool 6 months to return these documents once I file suit and get this order. And I'm going to let him hang himself. And like I said, Judge, these are 3 things I need. What documents? You're not president, so you don't have the ability to have these documents. And will you return the documents? Simple, clean, and like I said, I would then use it against him. I don't think he could ever admit in an official state, because if you notice, his lawyers keep him from depositions and testimony, because in practice, it's called mock trials, he lies for the chief counsel of the White House said he lies when it doesn't happen. It just doesn't mean anything.
Right.
He perjures himself, and then what you can do, you get him in a perjury trap. Do you have the documents? No. That's one. Yeah. What document? And what I'm saying is, you've got to know to play the game. What people don't understand is U.S. attorneys are not good attorneys. U.S. attorneys get their jobs because they know somebody. They're not out there fighting. They're not out there doing bad cases. Good lawyers do bad cases. That's how you become a good lawyer.
Right.
Your comments, your opinions, try to give me a straight answer.
Okay, that's true about you catch him in perjury, because the mayor of Detroit, Kwame Kilpatrick, had won.
How do you know this individual?
How do I know him?
Yes, sir. How do you know him?
I worked for Detroit.
Oh, did you? Okay, right. Interesting.
Right. That's how they...
Just wondering, that was an interesting name you pulled up. Mm-hmm. Were you friends?
No, I wasn't a friend. I was just one of the sought-after transportation professionals he sought to bring to his apartment.
Okay.
do some new things in Detroit.
Do you believe he was indicted righteously?
He was indicted for perjury. The rest of the stuff that was in the court, he had won.
And what did he purge himself about?
His girlfriend. That's why your mother slapped you.
No. That's exactly what it was. Mama recognized.
His mother slapped him also because his mother told him to leave that lady alone. I don't like what I see. And he got on a witness stand and testified, him and the young lady, that they were not dating each other. And they had all the information that they were, and laid it out there. And then he went down. He had won his case. He went down.
It's always a cover-up. You never cover up. You never. Look, you can lie. We can lie on this show, which we don't. You can lie all you want. When they say, please raise your right hand.
Right.
I hate Mr. Bill. He's stealing all the money. And we hit the cocaine in the trunk. You cannot lie on that stand. Or you say, I'll take the fifth.
Take the fifth.
Take the fifth. Take the fifth. Take the fifth.
I do like Ronald Reagan. I don't remember. I was asleep.
They technically cannot charge you with perjury. But anyway, we're running out of time, folks. Sorry, we've run out of time. But for Mr. Bill, I'm Brent Hazard. And once again, keep Malcolm Johnson in your. Remember Malcolm on August 8th. But sorry we were late. I was doing legal stuff. But we'll be back next week. Stay tuned for what's the next show, Miss Producer? We don't have a next show?
No, sir.
Y'all canceled us. But anyway, we'll be back next week. Y'all have a great day.
Great.